life happens. We watched it fall. I was like, worst happened. Hey, what is going on, everybody? So today's vlog, if you're new to the channel, make sure you like, subscribe, that whole thing, obviously that cool jazz, right? And don't subscribe for me, just subscribe for this little angel right down here. Yeah, right, okay. Oh, there she is. Hi. Okay, that's Glacier. We had a little accident that happened on the tiny house, and we're gonna get right into that in a minute here. Put the ladder back up on the side of the house, and I will climb the ladder and I'll show you guys the damage that has been done. Obviously the thumbnail is, shows a tree lying on the tiny house, so I might as well address it right at the top of the video, and then we'll kind of go into what the rest of the video is, which I am starting to build a off-grid shed that is going to also not only act as storage, but it's also going to be my workshop, my place of zen, if you may. The yard itself, the property, is kind of a disaster zone. I've been kind of just laying low the last month. I really haven't been doing much, mostly because I worked my butt off for the entire year to get this tiny house down, and now that it's done, I have been kind of focused on just relaxing and kind of like feeling good now. But now I want to get this all done, ready, built by before winter hits. And if you can't tell with all the leaves and colors behind me, you know that fall, I am in the middle of it. I'll explain to you guys before I put the ladder up what happened. Now, it is cloudy today. You can see the clouds in the sky. But it is, I don't even know what time it is. I don't have my phone on me. I want to say it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The sun rises over here. That is east, okay? And then it comes up over the tree line. And obviously at this time of year, it's at a lower point in the sky. When it is summertime, angle of Earth to the sun, astronomy stuff, it's higher in the sky. And I moved up here right at the end of summer, beginning of fall. So it's been slowly creeping down here, which has been crappy for me and my solar panels, but we'll get to that. So the sun kind of stays on this horizon, or stays on this line, and then you can already see, I don't know if you can see over there, but the sun is already behind this cluster of trees over here. So I got a couple quotes from a couple different companies to take down a few of these trees that were over in this area. And let's just say I spent all my money on the tiny house, so I didn't have that much left. And that was big dollar signs. And I was like, I can cut some trees down. My dad even was like, hey, I can cut some trees down too. And I was like, cool, man, why don't you go do it? Because I'd feel more comfortable with your experience over my experience, because I don't have that much experience cutting trees down. Now, let's see here. This pine right here is a solid 40 feet high. I don't even know. I can't tell, but it's pretty high. That is probably the largest tree in this vicinity. We've got an oak over here that is maybe 30 some odd feet. And then there's another, it looks like a pine, I could be wrong, back behind it. I wasn't going to take that pine down, but I definitely wanted to take that oak down. And then there was a cluster of 3 trees. Now, a couple weeks before the accident, my dad actually cut down these two trees right here. And that opened up a little bit of solar for me. And he did it yickety split, and I actually have some footage of that. Massive thank you to HART, because HART sent me an 18-inch cordless chainsaw, and if you haven't used a cordless chainsaw, they are so cool and awesome. So anyways, so the last tree in that cluster, the reason I didn't have him cut it down at that moment was I was like, Dad, it's leaning towards the house. I want to tie it off. I want to do this, that, whatever. So he came up one day, and we were going to do a bunch of stuff around the property, and one was to cut down the tree that eventually fell in the house, and that oak. Now, I didn't set up a camera, so I apologize, but I also don't, because I'm glad I didn't show this. Tree, we started to cut the wedge, And unfortunately, the wedge never came out. And when the wedge doesn't come out, then the tree can pretty much fall any way that it's leaning. So it started to crack, and it was falling towards the house, and my literal year flashed in front of me right before my eyes, and I was just, you know, almost, I don't even know, I don't know the feeling that I was getting. It was, and listen, guys, I was not mad at my dad. My dad was not at fault. The best way I could analogize this is when I was a kid, I remember my dad actually saying to me, because I was being raised a baseball player, I was an athlete, and I always said, why do, like, the audience, why does the people that are watching me play, why do they always remember the one bad play that I had? And my dad said to me, it takes 10 oh my's to make up for an oh poop. What he means by that is people only want to remember the last bad thing you did, and you have to make up for it by doing 10 really good things. Well, guess what? My dad's done hundreds of remarkable things for me, helping me with the tiny, helping me with the van builds, helping me just throughout life. So a tree falling on the house, he felt terrible, I felt terrible. It wasn't, I'm not blaming him. Let's just get that out there. Life happens. We watched it fall. I was like, worst happened. Now, little Glacier was actually in the house when it all happened. I immediately ran inside. I went and made sure that my electrical and everything was working properly, and it was. I also have drywall up in my ceiling. My entire ceiling is drywall. Now, if you understand how drywall is made, any sort of like pressure or vibration or brute force of a tree falling on a house, that drywall should have broken. There was not one single crack in my roof, in my ceiling, I should say, in my inside of my ceiling. It was fine. We had to maneuver ladders, and we had to get up onto the tiny. Now at this point, I was like, okay, we need to slow down, and we need to remove the tree as properly as possible, because I did not want to damage any more of the house. Like I said, from the first assessment we saw, we only knew there was obviously no damage to interior. Didn't seem like there were any structural damage. No windows broken, no siding damage, and we couldn't tell if the roof was penetrated or if any solar panels were broken. We got up there and there was branches everywhere, and we could definitely see one solar panel broken, and we maybe potentially 2 or 3. It took us roughly 2 hours to get the rest of the tree trunk down. Now the problem was we had a ladder here, and we had to cut the tree trunk. The thing is, it was already cut at the base, so that whole trunk was gonna fall. Now, none of this stuff was here when it all happened, by the way. So that tree trunk was gonna fall, but we had to position the ladder correctly. So it took multiple hours and multiple, like, figuring out angles of how things were gonna fall. And I can walk to the back side of the tiny house, and you guys can see that the remnants of the rest of the tree kind of fell off the back here, and now it's just been sitting there, and I've got to clean that up and maybe do a burn, a controlled burn eventually. Like I said, guys, it was a very it was a scary day. But let me get the ladder up on the side of the tiny house right now. And all right, now if you guys watch my vlogs, you'll know that I'm actually pretty scared of heights. I've already showed some pictures of the roof, but here is some video of the roof. Obviously, one solar panel has been completely smashed. There's the hole of the branch. Now, remarkably, I'm not going to be able to get this on camera. Remarkably, there is no roof penetration whatsoever. We thought that solar panel was damaged over there. It is not. It is functioning. It is working. Before the accident, my solar, I've got 3,200 watts of solar, and the peak sun hour in the state of Maine, which is where I am, is around 1 p.m. At like 11 or noon. I was pulling in, I think, like 2,200 watts. And by the peak hour, I was already in shade. So I never got full peak. I never got full 3,000 watts. After the accident, I was pulling in about 1700 watts at its highest. From what I can tell, only one is broken, which is the obvious one. My dad made the cut. He's the one that bought me new solar panels, which are down there on the ground right there. So let's get down now. You have ever put up a rigid solar panel? They are not that easy, and obviously I need a second set of hands, so I'm waiting for somebody to come up and give me a hand. In the meantime, I'm going to get the foundation of the shed done, and actually the shed is being delivered tomorrow. I ordered the shed from Lowe's. Why'd I order it from Lowe's? Because I get 18-month 0 APR, and I can pay it off slowly, and I can afford it. And it's a 12 by 20 shed. It is a massive shed. I wanted that because I wanted a workshop. My tiny house is 8 by 24, obviously with a loft and a mini loft. I did the calculations. I'm right around 240 square feet if I add the two lofts, but 192 on the ground floor. My shed, if you do the math on that, that's 240, I believe 240 square feet, 12 by 20, 240 square feet. So my shed is going to be officially bigger than my tiny house. Glacier, that's a big rock, sweetie. That's a big rock. I do want to say, before I move over to the shed part of the video, I do want to say, I think the two things that really saved my house, the rigid solar panels, because those things that took the brunt of everything, took all the blow of the branches on top and just took that saved the roof itself. There was no roof penetrations, because I really do believe that saved the roof. Those solar panels are like under $300. So if two of them were broken, $600 is nothing. I would have like absolutely paid the money to have a rigid solar panel to save my roof, because you know how hard it is to replace a roof or fix a roof. The other part of the tiny house, it really just, it took a brunt, and it was just like, I don't even want to think about it. But if this was a wood frame structure, I don't know if it would have been able to taken it as well as a steel frame, which is what my tiny house is made out of. It's made out of steel frame, ordered by the one and only Trailer Made Trailer. So I think those two combos together, with the rigid solar panels and the steel frame construction and the way that it was designed and built, and obviously a little bit of luck. So I really lucked out there. So I'm going to pick this up tomorrow after I hopefully get the foundation not done, but almost, you know, far enough along. And then when the shed gets delivered, I'm gonna show that, and I'll hopefully have a workshop before Thanksgiving. That's obviously my goal, way before that actually. It is the next day, like I promised. Some updates for everybody. I took pretty much the tent that was, you know, in this location over here, and all of the stuff underneath it, and I moved it to closer to where the shed's gonna be, to make our lives easier while we build the whole foundation tomorrow. And I needed a flat spot because my dad's coming up with his RV, and he's going to be camping here, so I want to make sure that he has a nice semi-flat place to at least sleep. Got the solar panels unpackaged. They were sitting on a pallet down here, so they're now leaning up against the house. I will get those installed. I just received a phone call from the company that is delivering the shed, the barn, whatever you want to call it. It didn't get loaded on the truck today, so I'm a little peeved about it. So the solution was, we're going to deliver it next week, which is, again, it kind of all worked out, because now I have a place to put these two massive pallets. They're going to be 4 feet by 7 feet by about 3 feet high, and there's 2 of them. So I need enough room where I can get that done. And there is obviously enough driveway for the delivery company to drive up or back up and kind of just place them hopefully right here and here. I'm not gonna be able to put that in this vlog because this vlog's gonna be coming out before that delivery date, so sorry. I'll give you guys better pricing on everything when it's all said and done. But again, I bought the shed off of Lowe's for like $5 grand, and the flooring cost me about $800 with all the pressure treated wood and the subfloor. I'm going to have the space heated. Again, this is going to be, you know, I'll do vlogs about all this stuff, but the space is going to be heated. And the reason I want to heat is because I'm going to have stuff in there like, you know, lithium batteries, or I'm going to be doing a lot of building in the winter, and I wanted it comfortable in there. So I'll probably insulate it. I don't know if I'm going to insulate the floor though. I'll finish off the vlog here. You guys can maybe see a better understanding of kind of my space here. I'm just laying out the 20-foot planks to know, you know, how big the space is going to be. So it's going to be 20 feet long, 12 feet wide. So those the plank in the back there is 12 feet across, and then I believe the door is actually right here in the front, and it's a 6 foot wide door, so I can get stuff in and out. So I'm gonna have to build like a ramp or some steps right here, and I mean, if I really wanted to, I could actually make this into another like accessory part of the driveway. I don't know, we'll see what happens. So Glacier is obviously loving it. Look at these colors, by the way. I don't know if fall is coming into the camera all that well, but man, it is so beautiful up here. Tiny house is good. Don't worry, we're gonna get that all fixed up and good to go, but definitely avoided some critical damage, and everything has been working order. Like I said at the beginning of this video, it happened weeks ago, so everything has been totally fine the last couple weeks. That's why I wanted to wait a couple weeks before I put this video out there, wanted to make sure everything was still operational and running. And like someone once always said to me, it's better to be lucky than good. See you guys later.